David Brin, Encinitas, California, science fiction author extraordinaire, man. I feel like Five and Bulger, and the human race is analogous to the Burrow Rally. All right, we're going crazy and fucking this planet up, David. And I think it's a huge coincidence that I'm the guy that discovered how to save this planet using stevia, and it just so happens that you're in the near vicinity of my family. Losing to my uncle in court. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I don't think there's any way that you can live in Encinitas for 20-something years and not hear of Uncle Rico, Dan Quinn. You know what I'm saying? But like this, it's been hard to talk about my life really with anybody because it's been lived on epic scale. Seriously, I'm almost like Cinderfella, David. Making the play at Notre Dame. I mean, that's something that little kids dream about, right? Having a shot at saving 6 points, man. And I get fired for it. I'll tell you what, David. At that point, I quit football. Really. I mean, I had to act like I was still in the game because I was on scholarship. Talk about an entire class of people that are slave labor. Yeah. If you got a minimum fucking wage paying job, all the hours that you put in with football, you could have paid for your education at Notre Dame, right? Like it was a big fucking deal. I went there to play football, all right? I was going pro. I knew this, and I bet you if you talk with everybody that I played with, they would tell you the same thing. As a matter of fact, David, with your money, you could easily talk to Cedric Figaro, and if he told the truth, and I'm sure he would, he'd say that when he came back from San Diego his first year, he told me that I was better than every Charger that he played with, but since Holtz hated me, if I wanted to taste the money at the NFL, that I'd have to go up to Canada and wreck it and come down. And I told him, fuck football, man. I'm going to have coaches killed if I stay in this game. They're such rat-ass pieces of shit. And so I chose boxing. And it's been a long, circuitous path for me in this journey called life, man. When I was at Notre Dame, I'll tell you what, I would have turned into an elitist, I think. You know what? Maybe forgetting where I came from. You know, I come from blue collar, man. Having enough, but just barely, right? And, I mean, comparatively to the rest of America, having more than enough food to eat, but, you know what? Having to make do with things that worked, but weren't top of the line, right? You know what, like many people that don't have money, well, you know, most of us, David, and Dan Quinn is a poster boy. If Dan Quinn couldn't make it because of a lack of funding, you know what, little chance that anyone can, really. If I'm funded at Notre Dame more than $20,000, it got Notre Dame's attorneys to raise the white flag and say, holy shit, if this case actually gets in front of a jury, this fucking kid could potentially be looking at any school in the country he wanted besides USC, right? Michigan said they'd take me, and I believe Ohio State did too, right? And you know what? I could have been a millionaire, man, headed to the NFL, thinking that my 7-inch grower dick, because it shrivels up, David, when I go into battle situations or jump in a freezing cold pool. It's similar, man, same thing. And I would have hit the NFL. It would have been one of the most violent, insecure, fucking dudes. I mean, I've said this before, but since I'm addressing this to you, I would have been a horrible influence on male youth in America, man. Seriously, I mean, you know what? I didn't ever do anything that you couldn't put on film, right? But what people see, you know, savagery, violence. You know what? I hated the guys that I was playing football against, David. I really did. That's why it was joyous for me every football game, man, because I could literally go out there and fuck somebody up and fight them on every play. But you know what? Yeah, I'm getting sidetracked to myself, David. Thing about it is, if it's not for Lou Holtz and Notre Dame, Maitreya, everybody knows who he is. I've been on the sides of, still am, David, the bad boy. Put it like this, your money could easily track down Boogaloo and ask him, you know what, did you or did you not sell that bad boy logo for like fucking $50, 200, a sack of weed, some shit like that? I mean, typical, the American story. You know what? Somebody getting fucked and someone profiting from it, right? You could tell him that Dan Quinn has really changed his ways. Most people might think that I would have led my children into a combat sport, football. I did my best, actually, to steer them away from it. My oldest, listen, and I'll tell you, it's kind of a neat story. Wow, both my sons, magnificent. My oldest would be one of the fastest on the football team if he played. He can beat everybody up on that football team, but he chooses not to play. And they like him, and it's okay. And my youngest wouldn't listen to me. He chose to actually put the pads on, and I don't think his coaches know what they have quite yet, right? Because unlike Mike Stonebreaker, you know what? As I'm talking to David Brin here, I always liked you, man. When I heard that you talked shit about me, I hated you, and didn't change the fact that I thought you were a good player. I didn't think you were better than Ned, per se, but you know what? Ned only got a chance because you fucked up academically and then drove beautiful Ursula's truck into a telephone pole and fucked everything up, right? Anyways, yeah, you were cool, dude. And how'd I get on this? You know what, David? I guess Mike Stonebreaker said that had I been allowed to actually fucking play, you should YouTube Dan Quinn's Notre Dame play, David. I make a spectacular play, all right? The kind that will cement my potential legacy in football. You know what? Video game idea. They could make a video game based on Marty Lipicott's and my stats and then plug them into the Notre Dame defense that won the national championship, and you're looking at the probably best defense that's ever touched the field in college football. Seriously. Two outside linebackers with extremely good speed, can cover running backs man for man, and can also rush the passer, and then a big fucking hog. I'll tell you what, man, that kid was a bulldozer. Marty Lippincott should have been in NFL, but Lou Holtz chose that he wouldn't, because you know what, he's a coach. And so what I would like, David, is for some assistance. I'm getting a little dry here. Stevia turns water into split H2O, natural gas, magically, like it was meant to be. You know, they're both from nature, right? And since water is the most important element on this planet, without it, zero life, and cars are powered by hydrogen, all right? Where does that hydrogen come from, David? It's water, and we're burning it up as we go in everything. Lighters, spaceships, or I mean not spaceships, they use something that doesn't require really big gas tanks, correct? And yeah, and then the exhaust, David, is going to fulfill the vision that I had 20 odd years ago at Notre Dame. Said I was going to be the richest man on the planet, and what I was to do was to end the slavery that corrupts and ruins and destroys this planet. Freedom, please. You know what? Ching, 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 666, very, very close. Too close in my opinion, for comfort. Especially since the rich have so much money. What the fuck is this guy waiting for? I mean, cool. Yeah, so around 55, numbers. That's what people are becoming, David. There's too many of us. We're a breed of animal, a herd of animal that's literally, berserker, out of control. If they took pictures of the flora and the fauna, 100 years ago, and then stacked them up against what we have today, it's like Dr. Seuss's truffle trees, right? It's all perfect. Then humans come and we fuck everything up. And where's it going to end, man? You know what? It's like this. I'm having my Treya, M-A-I, put on the back left of my shorts, and then T-R-E-Y-A, because people really don't know what the fuck that is anyways, alright? What it is, it's freedom. And it can also fulfill the vision that my ex had when she was pregnant with my oldest son, that he would one day lead a revolution, and it's going to be with money, and it's going to be from the inside out, potentially, if the ending to this movie is like it should be, alright? Dan Quinn's been a good guy his entire life. Ask anybody that knows him up here, alright? Ask my friends down there if I wasn't one loyal motherfucker, okay? Getting it back whenever, relishing that, because it usually required fists and violence, and you know what? Wow, my upbringing, chaos. And I'll tell you what, David, Princeton, I think, plagiarized an idea I had when I was 8 years old of mice going crazy in a cage. They didn't have enough room, and they turned from nice, timid animals into berserker, human-like animals. Oh, they went fucking crazy. And I saw it, and I was like, wow. And wrote a little paper, gave it to my teacher, and then next thing you know, they were saying that like I had a 154 IQ and shit, as we're at 158 for Jack Del Rio, Tell you what, Jacksonville Jaguars, if not for Russ Purnell, I don't have my kids, so thank you, dickhead. But you know what, wow, from everybody else's standpoint, she's gonna go, cool, alright, she didn't block me off and shit. For everybody else's standpoint, me being selfish, saying, you know what, if the fate of the world rests on my discovery, and the problem with that is that no one knows my name, because Notre Dame basically fucking, what was it, they put a little hex on Russ to make it so he didn't get me a job, so I was forced to go to USC, or from USC to Notre Dame and shit, and you know what, and they set me up for shit I didn't do and fire me for a play that, maybe a LT could make. It's like, what's a motherfucker gonna do, man? And it comes down to this. You know what? There's only so much time, and the problem with that is that like every 7 seconds a woman dies, David, from what basically cured Ali Sonoma's beautiful breast that I'd love to suck on after I played the violin. Anyhow, in 14 days, man. Seriously, so basically, who you're listening to is a Nobel Prize winner, alright? And I like to have that happen when I'm alive and not posthumously, or whatever the pronunciation is. So, with David Brin's help, we can turn back time a little bit, man. Give me the money I would have had in the past if I had chosen, to maybe go with Mark Brannon and deal drugs and shit. And I might be dead in prison. I'm here now. I have stevia, the biggest discovery the planet's ever seen, and I need a little money to make this happen. So, who wants to donate?